Hey guys, I'm back with Anzac, and there's a few things I want to talk about first. Actually, with Italy, I forgot to put this um, in the Italy video. Basically, Italy saved their $10 and they got $18 based on the territories they took, so they'll have $28 next turn, which is really good and helpful. And then I forgot to move these 3 infantry and artillery back from Tobruk to Libya in our non-combative turn. And I also forgot to move this transport in season 99 to 97 back on the non-combative turn because it only used 1/2 of its moves. So move it back to the 3rd move and it will be season 97. So those are the only 2 things that I wanted to show you about the Italians' turn. So, alright, now we can go back to Anzac. Alright, so this is Anzac's turn. Anzac has $10. This is what I like to buy with Anzac. The reason why is because Anzac, well, let me put it this way. America is basically going to come down in here, and then they're going to take the Caroline Islands, and then they're going to start feeding warships. Now, America does not have the resources to build warships to compete with Japan, and the transports with the troops on it. So that's where Anzac comes in. Anzac supplies transports with infantry on it, and that's really helpful. So basically what will happen is America will come in, they'll have the warships protect the Caroline Islands, and then Anzac will come in with a couple fighters and their transports and infantry and their cruiser or whatever, get a bombardment, and then they'll take over the Caroline Islands, and then they'll start island hopping, and Anzac will be the transport infantry guy. America is the warship guy. America will come in, destroy the Japanese Navy. Anzac will come in and mop up all the land units. So that's basically the overall strategy. Now, there's a couple things with Anzac. Anzac is tied with Great Britain very heavily, and they are not at war unless Great Britain is at war. So, well, yeah, basically. So what's going to happen is unless Japan attacks them unprovokedly, or if Great Britain attacks Japan and declares war, then Anzac will go to war in those 2 cases, or if Japan attacks Anzac unprovokedly. So it just kind of depends. Alright, now here we go. So there's only a few things you can do with Anzac, and the one strategy that I suggest highly on the first move is taking Dutch New Guinea. The reason why is because it doesn't belong to anybody. They're free to anybody to take them. So you could come in, take them, and it won't start war with Japan. So it still keeps Japan only fighting with China, which is what we want for the moment. So, and the other reason why is because it's part of our national objectives. One national objective is that we control all of our original territories, and an allied power controls Malaya. Another national objective is when we control all these islands, including Dutch New Guinea. The reason why is because it's supposed to be like a protective outer layer island defense type thing. So basically what I like to do is I like to take this transport, and I like to take just 1 infantry, because we're going to replenish it with an infantry here. And there's no point in wasting troops trying to take islands that don't have any value other than national objectives. Plus, we don't want to set the Japanese off, because then the Japanese will come in, destroy a transport. It's just not... We just don't want the Japanese to come into the war. Well, let me put it this way. We don't want the Japanese to come into the war unless we can get them to bring America along in the war with them. So this transport is a good way of getting the Japanese to bite. If they attack that transport unprovokedly, they attack us unprovokedly, then that means that gives America an excuse to come into the war early, and that's exactly what we want. So we're kind of giving them a little bait, like, oh, hey, here's a free transport. Send a fighter and destroy it. That's kind of the gist. So we're setting out a bait. We're also gaining extra $5. And then basically what I like to do is not do a whole lot more. We just move the cruiser over. We'll move the airplanes up here to the northern part of Australia. Leave this infantry here in New Zealand for defense. And then we... that's basically it. And then we place our newly made infantry and our new transport here. That way we can come in and we can go and take some of these islands over here and put up a defense, and maybe we can make it a little harder for the Japanese. That way they lose some units, and then we can come back in later with America and mop up what's left. So that's the basic gist. Anzac will get $5 because of, sorry, not $5, they'll get 10 extra dollars because of their 2 national objectives: controlling all their original territories and Malaya, and having all the islands. So that's 10 extra dollars. Now some people would say, why wouldn't you just take the islands now and forget about New Guinea? The reason why is because national objective is $5. These islands are only 4 or 3. More money. That's the reason why. So Anzac will make $20 next turn. And now there's not a whole lot we can do with these infantry or these infantry. We just kind of let them sit, leave them there. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and throw in France with this because France doesn't have a whole lot to do. So we'll go ahead and do France's turn. Now basically, these 2 infantry are going to stay here. That fighter's going to stay here. I mean, the French Navy, I guess, could come out here and attack the subs with the fighter, but the fighter couldn't attack the subs anyway, so there's no point in that. Basically, it's just defending the British homeland is all we're doing. So now we're kind of in a little bit of a situation. We can either choose to go after the German subs, or we can go after this transport. Either or, there's going to be a fight, because if we go after the subs, that'll be 2 subs versus a destroying cruiser, or we can go after the transport and it'll be a destroying cruiser versus 2 fighters. So either way, it's a bit of a situation, if you might call it. But everything else is basically your basic moves for France. So you're going to take this destroyer from Sea Zone 72, go 1-2, and help in Sea Zone 81 and help protect that British Navy. We're going to bring this infantry down from Syria down into Transjordan, protect the Suez Canal. Move this infantry from Morocco into Algeria, make it 2 infantry versus all that. And we're going to take this infantry from French West Africa to French Central Africa, move it in, and then we can help take out those Italian units down there. So now this is where you got to make a choice: either go after the transport or go after the submarines. Now if you go after the submarines, there's definitely going to be a fight because the submarines can't leave. Whereas if you go after the transport, it depends on whether Italy thinks that its transport is worth the fight over the 2 fighters. And so you kind of have to gauge the person who's playing Italy. So in my opinion, what I'm probably going to do, I'm probably going to go after the transport because, well, this is kind of weird because it's my own mind, but I, as Italy, would not risk my fighters for that transport. I can buy other transports, I can build up a navy. I'm going to wait until I can get rid of the navy in the Mediterranean. Besides, I'll have $28 next turn. I can buy a transport and like a destroyer and a submarine, something like that. Then I'll have some naval units to help protect that transport along with the fighters, and that'll be a much safer bet. So if I was France, I would gauge that from the Italian persona. So I would take these destroyer and cruiser and go after this transport because I know that Italy's not going to scramble because the fighters are too valuable at this point. So bye-bye transport. Transport did a little bit of a job, took over Greece, so that's helpful. Alright, now I think that's it. So that is the end of round 1, you guys. That's the end of it. So, alright, we got 2 more rounds to go. So I will see you guys in Germany's round 2 beginning move.